what type of care you want. When it comes to long-term care, the most expensive thing is people to take care of you. One of the few things we haven't figured out how to automate is care. We can't, there's no app for that. There's no computer program that you can do to physically take care of a person. So the largest cost in any long-term care setting is the help they have in the building helping you, the people. So my encouragement for everybody is to sit down with your families. First of all, if you guys have not discussed what your wishes are for your care as you get sicker and unable to make your own decisions, you need to sit down with your loved ones, with your children, with your nieces, your nephews, and say, this is what I would like to do. This is what I would like to stay in my home as long as possible. Or I would like to stay independent as long as possible. And sometimes that entails selling your house that you have, your 3-story house or your 2-story house or whatever you have, and moving to a simpler setting, an assisted living, a personal care, independent living, anything like that, just so that you have less to take care of, there's less stress. I encourage you to stay active as you can as you get older. As soon as you stop using something, you lose it. And I think, so if you still have the ability to go and go to Silver Sneakers and do the exercise, as annoying as that can be and as hard as it is to think about doing that, continue to do it. Because as you keep your balance and you're able to walk, that keeps you as independent as you can. And it will save you from having to go to a nursing home or a facility where you need more assistance. And my encouragement would be to do that. I think I heard statistics at one point in time that says 25% of us will end up in a nursing home for a short period of time. So a quarter of us will probably end up in a nursing home for a short period of time. 10% of us will end up in a nursing home for a longer period of time. And so you have to keep that in mind. So Tandem Manor is a private pay facility. We do not take Medicare or Medicaid. So when people come to us, we will, if they start to run out of money, we will also ask people to sell their assets, because I still have to pay for staff to take care of you. But our hope is when people stay for a long period of time, that we have a bit of money set aside where I can continue. We have about $300,000 to $500,000 a year that we have available to take care of people who no longer can take care of themselves. And so we take their insurance or their Social Security and the rest of it. But it is a limited number, and unfortunately there's a lot of baby boomers coming, there's a lot of people with need, and so when I'm at that number, if somebody runs out of money and they haven't told me ahead of time, I do have to ask them to look for a Medicaid facility. So when it comes to long-term care, so you can get in-home care through your Medicare or through your insurance. So if you need if you've been to the hospital and you're not as strong, you can get home health, and it's paid for by your insurance. They will come out, they will give you exercises to do, they'll exercise with you in the home. So my encouragement is, if somebody is coming to your home and wanting to do some sort of therapy, say yes. Whether you feel like it that day or not, say yes, because they have to continue to see you as long as you improve. As long as you improve, they have to continue to see you then they'll determine, once you've reached a plateau, they'll say, this is as good as you're going to get. You can't get any better. And then they'll stop seeing you. So they'll give you exercises to do. They will come and visit you, whether you feel good that day or not. Get up and cooperate with your therapist, because as long as you continue to cooperate and continue to make progress, they can continue to see you. When you start refusing to see them and you stop making progress, then they will end your therapy benefit at home. And you won't get that therapy benefit again until you end up in a hospital again. And you don't want that to happen. So my encouragement is to do that as much as you can. Other options you have are assisted living or independent living facilities, which is pretty much what it sounds like. You don't get very much assistance there, and if the extra assistance you do get will be, you'll probably have an extra fee to pay for that. I think each independent living facility has their own way of setting that up, but if you need more assistance with something, if you need assistance taking a bath, they will probably charge you to have somebody come in to take care of that. Assisted living is a little bit more assistance. You do have people on staff 24/7, I think, in assisted living facilities that will assist you with basic needs. I know as soon as you become bedbound, by law, they are supposed to discharge you. They have to discharge you to another facility. We have a personal care home that has a similar license to assisted living. The difference is in our personal care area is we have nurses available 24/7. So if you need assistance with, who knows, certain medical procedures, diabetic things, or medications, if you get confused, and we have nurses that actually will administer your medication for you. If you get sick, you don't have to go out of the facility. We have a doctor that will come in, or we have the nurse who will just call the doctor over the phone and say, these are her symptoms, this is what her temperature is, this is what her blood pressure is. He'll give orders, even if it's something like an x-ray, they're not sure if you have pneumonia or something like that. He'll give an order to have a mobile x-ray come in and take an x-ray for you. And so you don't even have to leave your facility, you don't even have to leave your room. So that's an option that you have in our facility. To qualify for Medicare, you do have to have a 3-day hospital stay. So they have to admit you to the hospital. So the hospitals have different things. If you go to the hospital, or a loved one you know goes to the hospital, they have to be admitted. I think they can put you in swing beds, or they can observe you, and that does not count as a part towards your 3-day Medicare stay. So if you hear somebody's in the hospital on observation, and it seems to be for a long period of time, I would insist that you have your loved one admitted, because then your Medicare days will kick in after that. Otherwise, if they have you on observation for 3 days, they're going to send you back home, and you will not get the same type of assistance. That you can't get the therapy that you will, because you will lose strength. If you're in a hospital bed for 3 days, you're going to not walking and not moving. You will lose your strength, and you will not get the same type of care. You won't be able to do the same amount that you were able to do before you entered. So if you have so your Medicare days, everybody thinks, oh, Medicare doesn't pay for everything. You get 100 days of Medicare. 100 days, and then for the first 20, you're paid 100%. And after the first 20, you pay 20% after the first 20 days. Well, you'll notice most hospitals or most therapy places will keep you for those first 20 days because the government pays really well for therapy. And a lot of nursing homes do therapy. That's the Medicare nursing homes. A lot of them do therapy, because you get paid really well for helping somebody in a therapy bed. And then after that, you pay 20%, and the government will pay 80%. And usually, I don't know, I've seldom hear of anybody who uses all 100 days in a Medicare facility. Once you get to 20%, then they start trying to discharge you home, discharge you somewhere else to a facility like mine. And after 100 days, you become private pay in their beds. So if you did stay 100 days, you would have to pay privately for whatever care is there. So it's one of those things. That's why I tell people to stay as active as you can, because the cost in all facilities is taking care of staff. I mean, when they talk about raising the minimum wage to $15, it stresses me out for folks on a limited income, because that just means that if they raise the minimum wage, care in nursing homes, in hospitals, and all that, the cost of it will go up. Because that's one place where you cannot reduce staff. If you reduce staff, you reduce care. And so just keep that in mind. And I would encourage you to stay as active as you can. So what Taylor Manor can provide that other places do not provide is the sacraments. We have a priest, a chaplain in the facility. We have daily mass. We have, I mean, he will bring you communion if you don't feel like getting up to come to Mass. Father is very gracious, Father Frank Sherry. I don't know if he ever comes out here and visits, but he is wonderful. He'll visit residents. He offers confession whenever you guys went to confession. Monthly, we have anointing of the sick. And if you are not doing well, guess what? You're getting anointed. This nun is going to put a scapular on you. Yeah, and I go around and ask, because we're only, maybe a quarter of us are Catholic there. The rest is, some types of other Christian. I do have some people that have no faith at all. I always go around and ask them if they've been baptized. If they haven't been baptized, I will offer to baptize them. I will offer to have Father baptize them. Because the reality is, when you get to us, you're at the gates of heaven. You are knocking on heaven's door. And it is really a privilege for us to be able to take care of people at that stage. I've experienced so many things where you just realize somebody's seeing something, somebody's experiencing something that we can't see, that we can't hear, but they're hearing something. And it should be a situation we shouldn't be afraid of. If you're in a state of grace, if you've lived, even if you've lived your life as a horrible person, but you're in a state of grace when you die, you're going to go to heaven. You're going to go to heaven and have that confidence. There'll be lots of choices, but sit down and talk with your family ahead of time. Sit down and talk about what you want when it comes to end-of-life care, because there are lots of options and there's lots of resources. And if you want me to email you some resources, I'll be happy to give you guys my email address. But yeah, that's kind of what questions? Yeah.
There used to be a waiting list to get anything this.
We don't have a waiting list, no, not at the moment. Sometimes at certain points in times we will, but people can't afford to stay as long as they used to stay. I mean, the cost of care has gone up. When I looked back in the 80s, I think cost was, in my nursing home, was $75 a day. $75 a day, that's incredible to me. Because right now it's like $240 or $250 a day. So yeah, no, people can't afford to stay that long. Off the top of my head, the highest level of care is in the 200s. We changed most of our rooms from semi-privates to private rooms. We do have a few semi-private rooms still available just because people can't afford to have, but most people want a private room. I understand, especially if you're not confused, you don't have dementia, having your privacy is a big thing. So we did change a lot of our rooms. So I think I didn't look at the price sheet before I came, I have to admit. I just came.
On an average for a month, you're talking about just a little over $1,000.
Oh no, on an average for care is about, better step back, I don't know when I got too close to.
Getting the time on the
Okay. So an average, it's about $6,500 a month in total care nursing. Personal care, I think, is about $4,000 a month in our personal care. And in that section, you get help with bathing, as long as you're still able to get up, or even if you're not able, you have to be able to get up and get to the restroom, even if you're being assisted by somebody. Once you get to the stage where you're no longer able to get up and move to a restroom, then we would move you along a level of care. But once you've chosen Taylor Manor, you can stay at Taylor Manor as long, we have all levels of care. So you'll be transferred from one level of care to another, all the way up to the skilled. So you were asking how many beds we have available now? We have, I think it's about 65 beds available now. We used to have 82, but a lot of those semi-private beds we have cut back, and now we're down to about 65 beds that we have available. So, yes, sir.
Why won't Taylor Manor accept Medicare or Medicaid?
We were never licensed for that. When we were started as a state licensed facility back in the 50s, and we have never tried to apply. I understand now it would be very, very difficult. We've discussed it to get a Medicare or Medicaid license. So, yeah, so it's, just wasn't how we were licensed in the 50s, yeah. I don't even know if Medicare and Medicaid was available in the 50s, anybody know? I don't know, I don't know the history, but we just were never licensed for it, yeah.
Does Taylor Manor have a physical therapy wing or not?
Okay, so the way Taylor Manor handles physical therapy is you can use your home health benefit that you would use in your own home. So the therapists that would go visit your home come visit us at Taylor Manor. And the one advantage we have is if you're having a bad day and you're not feeling good that day, my therapist can go around and see 15 other people and then come back to you and see if you're still not feeling well, you know, and she'll be in the next day. So she doesn't count it as a refusal until you've actually refused her for 2 or 3 days or you're physically unable to do what she's asked you to do. So if you go to your house, if a physical therapist comes to your house, you're one on the list of 15 as they're going through town. So if you say you can't do it that day or they miss you that, you know, it has to be a refusal on your part. They're not going to come back at the end of their day and visit you again and see if you're okay. In my facility, they do. We'll stop up and say, oh, Mrs. So-and-so is, you know, she wants her bath right now. You'll have to put her in the afternoon, or she's not having a good morning. Come back and see her in the afternoon. That's how we handle it. But it would be charged to your insurance or your Medicare or your Medicare Part B, I think it is. I don't know. It's one of your Medicares that takes care of it. Yeah. It's giving me the 2-minute signal. Go ahead.
Okay, like here, if you're Catholic, your children go to Catholic school, you get a reduced tuition rate. If you're Catholic in Taylor Manor, you get a reduced rate.
Yeah, I wish it worked that way. I wish it worked that way. You know, we don't receive any support from anybody. We don't receive government support. We haven't ever even asked for support from the diocese before. We are starting to ask for that now because there are so many people that have a need that we are unable to serve. And unfortunately, I've had to ask a few of my people who have said, I have 6 months left, sister, of money, and I don't have, and I know I don't have a bed available, which is all in God's hands. I don't have control over when somebody's going to leave us, you know, other than if you run out of money, and I know I can say you might have to look for a Medicaid bed. But other than that, we take care of everybody for as long as, you know, if you make it to my financial aid list, we will take care of you as long as we can. As long as you're on that list, we will take care of you. So.
And you said there's only about 25% of your patients that are Catholic?
That are Catholic.
So about 75%?
75% are not Catholic, yeah. We admit, but some of them have been there for a long time. I think the longest lady I ever had was there for 18 years, and she wasn't Catholic at all. So she had, yeah. But she started when she came in the 80s, when fees were smaller, and she was able to stay for a long time, so.
Kudos to the Sisters of St. Joseph the Worker.
Thank you, everybody.